And as I say, I think the topic itself is a very interesting topic. It says next-gen academia interventions, right? I mean, it's talking about uh, academia 5. It's talking about 5.0, right? That's what education 5.0. I don't know whether we are at 5.0 or probably you should tell us if we should actually look at 6.0 to be ahead of where the industry is. The industry is probably moving from 4.0 to 5.0. So should academia probably, jump into the fast lane well before that, right? So again, coming to the point, I think we all know in this dynamic world how technology is changing, how things are changing rapidly around us. And today, education is not about just gaining knowledge. Gaining knowledge is fine, and I think if you all step back 20 years back, I think what we learned in college probably lived us at least half our careers. Today, what we learn in college probably will not probably get us even the first promotion in our professional careers, right? Probably it could touch you there and then leave you there. So, given that, it's all about education is all about gaining knowledge. And also kind of, gaining other life skills. When I mean life skills, I'm talking of cognitive thinking, ability to collaborate, ability to, communicate better and so on and so forth. So with all this happening around us, and of course, I'll not even touch the shift of AI at this stage, but with all this happening, how do you think the academia can kind of keep pace with this? What are your thoughts at this stage, and maybe we can delve deeper?
Thank you, Srikanth. Very good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, NASSCOM, for giving me this opportunity. I presumably I'm the elephant in the hall, elephant in the house, not by the size, but by the ideology. I come from academia, and most of you belong to the industry. I take what he's talking about, and I correlate it with what Ms. Rishu was talking about. She talked about two E's, envision and execute. But there is the third E, which is very, very important, and that is education. See, it is not just simply what an industry envisions about, how industry executes about, but people who are really executing and envisioning, their education counts a lot. When I was told about that, I need to interact, I need to talk about my perspective out here. I was talking about education 6.0. See, we all need to understand that if industry is moving from industry 4.0 to 5.0, the education has to move to 6.0. And having said that, believe me, if the people, the workforce which you are actually focusing on, targeting on, is not ready, skill-wise and will-wise, I again repeat that, skill-wise and will-wise, if they are not ready to get adapted and adopted to what you are thinking, things would not go further. I'll give you an example that I call this Gen Z to be a reel-oriented generation. Their retention time is very less.
Absolutely. True.
I would give you the entire ideology with which LPU works, that they are not reading. They are really not reading. And if they are not reading, they are not comprehending. If they are not comprehending, they are not retaining. And when they are not reading, comprehending, and retaining, they are not expressing. That is the biggest challenge. Because all these three things, they come in together. The more you read, the more you comprehend, the more you retain, and then you express, you communicate. So we understood the challenge, and we created tools. Whatsoever I'm going to talk about are copyrighted, software-oriented copyrighted tools we have, and they are going to be an international patents for us. They're software-oriented patents for us. We created a tool called Back to Basics. Now this Back to Basics, in the student's mobile, there'll be a topic, 2 topics every week, shown to a student to read. And he or she is going to read that, and then we are going to assess that how far that individual has comprehended. And we let that student speak about that comprehension inside the classes. This has proven worthy because almost all the industries which comes to hire our students, they say that there is a dearth of basics in the students and they are unable to express what they know. We have created tools, and the tools which I'm talking about are completely based on, BERTs and SPACEs and LALMAs of this world. They are highly technical. So this is how we are creating 6.0.
No, Dr. Gupta, I know you're talking of something probably ahead of its times today, right? I mean, I fully kind of connect, and I'm sure many of us here will connect on the overall span of attention reducing of the younger generation and things like that, right? I think we were all talking a while back about reduced span of attention. So let's all go to capsule model of learning. I don't know if we are now talking about nano models of learning, where it's even smaller, tinier than what it was before, right? Now, is there something else that you can, do you think that I'm just stepping aside and talking about the new education policy that the country is currently talking about, trying to imbibe from the formative stages of whatever class 1, 2, and so on. Do you think some of those steps will really make a difference for the younger generation when they reach the college or university?
See, it all starts from the pre-primary.
Okay.
The ideology, the methodology of learning starts from the very pre-primary. It starts from the kindergarten. From there, we need to, the national education policy, which you were referring to, has really created a framework wherein the transition and translation happens evenly. But then, the educators need to understand that what expectations national education policy has. Because it should not be just simply a document, it should be biblical for all of us. Then only the education would take a paradigmatic shift.
Okay.
I will talk about one of the major challenges, what the entire country is facing. Because I've been teaching at Stanford's and Southern Federal Universities of the world. See, when a student creates a resume, he or she tries to imbibe all the buzzwords which are around. Means the individual would try to bring into a lot of Gen AIs, RLHFs kind of things. And the resume gets overpopulated. The moment that resume comes on the table and the interviewer looks to it, the interviewer thinks that this resume is simply out of this world,
Absolutely.
And let me eat my heart out. The moment interviewer asks about a particular buzzword which is written over there,
Yes.
the interviewee gets jaw-dropped. Now, this is the kind of challenge. How do we resolve it in education? The national education policy which you're talking about is, how do you resolve that the truthfulness is, the sanctity
Yes.
is maintained.
Yeah.
So, we created algorithms that we push that resume to an algorithm, and the algorithm actually creates a star map of the proficiency by the resume itself. And it's not just simply, keyword mapping. It's in-context learning which happens. It uses BERTs, bidirectional encoder representation of transformers. It uses that and creates a map, a star map of the proficiency of the student.
Great.
What we do is, then we talk to that student based on the proficiency. Say for example, if in Java, it is 5-star proficiency, and if you talk to that individual student, if he answers, then the resume is not overpopulated. He'll be able to
Correct.
defend to the interviewer.
True.
Now, these interventions, the theme of our dialogue is that how do we create interventions using technology?
Exactly.
And that is what we are doing.
Yeah.
So we created something called as career couplers.
Okay.
Now, this is CV to JDs, CVs to job descriptions,
Job description.
and job descriptions to CVs. They match with each other and they identify the nicks and nucks.
Perfect. I think, no discussion kind of, isn't complete without the application of the AI and Gen AI, right? I just wanted to kind of, with an acclaimed academician that you are, what are your thoughts and how are you as LPU also working on using all of this in terms of creating more of learning and development? And I think also assessing skill gap analysis, because that's a big challenge today, right? We all know the employability ratio and things like that. How are we doing that? How are you doing that? And eventually, of course, if that can be done, then talent acquisition is a natural phenomenon.
See, you need to catch them young.
Absolutely.
The moment student enters in any of the program at LPU,
Yeah.
he's actually mapped.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not talking about the robotic processes. I'm talking about a lot of human intervention comes into the picture. And there's an algorithm which we have created called SMART, Skill Monitoring and Recommendation Tool. That's again a patent, an international patent we have, in which based on, if he's in first semester, based on his past performances in academics and his deeds which he has done,
Yes.
he is categorized into 3 bands: green, yellow, and orange. Earlier we used to have red, but then people said, students
Very
said, sir,
negative.
please,
Very
please,
negative.
please do not make it red. So we had green, yellow, and orange. And this band actually traverses throughout his journey.
Okay.
And this algorithm recommends that this individual needs more practice, more on soft skills, more on domain-based knowledge. So at any given point of time, on my mobile and on students' mobile, the recommendations are very much available for the students.
Fab.
And we work on those kind of things.
Okay.
Believe me, this has really given us a new thread
Okay.
that we move on quite wonderfully well. And then, if you are going to ask me that I want a particular student with this particular trait, I'll give you a student with the 5-star proficiencies in those particular traits.
Fantastic. That's right. I think, in today's world, the industry also does not have time, right? Today you don't have the time to hire and wait like we did earlier and train them for probably 6 months, 9 months. So I think this kind of comes in very handy. My last thing, I think, is about the whole industry academia collaboration. I think it's talked about a lot. Everybody thinks much needs to be done, but what really happens, I think, is still only the tip of the iceberg. There's much, much more to do in this space. I know organizations are spending a lot of time, money, effort on, upping the skill, catching talent young, and also builds a lot of stickiness when they hire this talent, right? You kind of catch them very young. What, in your opinion, can be done much more in this space to ensure the academia collaboration with industry is far, far tight-knit as we go forward?
See, 3 years, 4 years down the line, the industry academia collaboration was generally considered to be that industry is going to look to the curricula.
Yes.
Industry is going to look to what all is being done. But now, what we are doing is that industry is associating with a program. We are offering programs with industry association in which industry is delivering.
Okay.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
That we have Calvium, we have Quantify's, we are futurins of this world, delivering the complete program. They are owning the program,
Okay.
and since day one, they are hiring the students of the program.
True.
And what is happening is that from day one, if I am studying in a program which is owned by Calvium or Futurance or Quantify, I am on board with these companies, and my entire program has got the internship model. Since day one, I am on internship with that company.
Fantastic.
And my internship, see, in the first semester, I'll participate 2 hours in a week. Second semester, I'll participate 4 hours in a week. And by the third year,
Makes sense.
I'll participate 6 hours in a week for that program. And I get my internship benefits
Yes.
out of that. Now, this is where I do not call it as micro level, I call it as nano level participation.
Absolutely.
When you talk about industry academia collaboration, you need to go to the nano level participation of it.
Absolutely.
It should not be superficial, it should not be macro, it should not be meso, it should be nano level.
Absolutely, and I think this is a commitment that organizations also have to take, right? I mean, it's very easy for people, the industry, to tell that the talent is not good enough. But then, what are you doing as industry to ensure that it is good enough, right? I mean, it has to have. It's like a handshake, right? Both hands have to come together. Absolutely. I think very lofty thoughts. I think very good kind of steps that I think you've been talking about on how you're kind of embedding technology to ensure to track students, to ensure that they can move forward, and how industry can probably be make them more employable by the industry and so on. Maybe I'll just pause here for a minute and probably look at any questions from some of the industry leaders here for us.
Sure.
Anybody who has a question for Dr. Gupta?
Yeah, go ahead,
I see a
please.
raise of hand there. Can somebody pass on the mic to this gentleman? Yeah, can you kindly stand up? Yeah. Kindly identify yourself and keep your question brief so that we can take more questions. We have about a couple of minutes here.
Hi, I'm Dr. K.K. Jain. I'm head of data and AI practice at IFI Tech Solutions. Couple of years ago, I've worked in academics for almost 10 years in public sector and private universities, and been in the role of, I would say, assistant dean academics. So I have come across these programs, challenges. My industry academia collaboration, I wanted to see the speed at which industry is evolving, and the speed that is sustainable in academia is there is order of magnitude difference. So the programs that are being envisioned or even are being put in place, they become kind of outdated by the time those graduates are available for industry. How that problem can be handled or tackled is something that because of probably constraints in terms of ROI is not being looked at even in NEP. Okay.
Okay.
How do we go about that is something that could be an open discussion, if I may.
Good. Thank you. And if there's one more question, maybe Dr. Gupta can, in the interest of time, he will be able to answer it together. Yeah, one question here, the gentleman here. Yeah, quickly. I don't think we'll have time beyond that, but.
Hello, this is Nitin. Actually, I head digital and customer experience practice in Vision Digital. And thank you, Shrikant and Dr. Lavi, for providing those insightful. What the challenge I see, and I actually part of BOS for a couple of colleges and an industry academia. As a board of study member, what I see as an industry, what we face as a challenge, you talk about hire, train, and deploy model, right? There is a model which I introduce into my organization as a mentor model, hire, train, deploy, and mentor model. The problem what we are facing in industry is that, sir, the people who are actually coming from colleges and all things, probably they are being skilled into multiple technology sets, what as an education you can provide us. But the customers we are dealing with, the clients we are dealing with, they are not very much open, I can say, and that's a question for all industry leaders, to take those pain, that okay, to train them, to deploy them. So as an educational and academy and industry, what is your perception we can build that bridge between academy and industry so that people should be ready, because the investment needs not to be done. And Shrikant, you just mentioned very correctly, they don't have time. So how we can bridge that gap so the time has to be there and people can collaborate. Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you for the questions, wonderful questions and to the point, very crisp. I'll be very short in answering. That is where the technology comes into picture.
Yes.
That is really where the technology comes into picture. You give me your job description, you give me your expectations. And my algorithm, which I'm talking about, Career Coupler, will identify the set of students which are absolutely befitting to you. So that you are not spending time, I'm not spending time, the algorithm is identifying the individuals which are suiting to you. And for the other question, see, technology which I consider, when you talk about Lalmas of this world, when you talk about birds and blooms of this world, this is where the things are going to happen for both of us. And this is the true answer. Bringing the truthfulness, the sanctity, the expectation mapping, and the career escalation of the students. I have experienced it, and we have run the tests, we have run the pilot, we are now full stream ahead going with it. You just give me your expectation, I'll give you the right individuals to work for you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Gupta. And I think we're definitely run out of time, but Dr. Gupta will be around if you have some questions. But I think we probably got all the right inputs from the academician that he is, and I think those pearls of wisdom saying how much more industry needs to collaborate with academia, and whatever we do, it's always less. So with that, thank you, Dr. Gupta. Thank you for a good
Thank you,
discussion, and
Shrikant.
thank you.
Thank you so much to our facilitator and of course to our special guest for such a need of the hour discussion. Thank you very much.